All right, so let's go over Smartlead.ai. As you can see, I'm on Smartlead.ai slash pricing. And just to quickly illustrate the tiers of pricing they have, so you can start out for 39 a month. You can see here it's going to be based on how many active leads you're uploading and how many the quantity of emails that you need to get out. So, Smartlead is an email automation tool, right? So when you're looking to automate email, you can look at a tool like Smartlead to get started with the $39 a month plan, depending on the quantity of outreach that you're going to do. So I have an account with Smartlead.ai. I mostly use it for warming. I use other tools for sending, but it is a great tool for sending. I love their interface. They have some cool integrations, which we'll go over. But really, the first thing that you need to do um, when you are setting up, uh, Smart Lead is obviously to sign in. You're going to then create an account, right? So choose whatever pricing tier you want. I think they have a trial version. And then you're going to connect a mailbox, right? Because in order to send any um, sort of you know, email from Smartlead, you need to connect the account. So I've been over this before in other videos. However, you're going to need to allow the Smartlead app in your admin ID, right? So let me just try and sign into my admin panel and show you what it looks like when you're adding this app in your admin account. So what I did was I clicked admin panel and it's going to lead you to the correct sign in, right? So it's admin.google.com. Um, so I'm going to sign into my admin account just so I can illustrate what allowing Smart Lead looks like. So again, I just clicked that link. I'm currently signing in to my admin account. Just give me a second here. I have 2FA set up. Cool. As you can see, Smart Lead is already allowed, but if it wasn't configured already, you would just do configure new app. Then I copied this code right here. So I'm just going to add it and then you click search. You can click here and then you'll just allow all continue. I've already added it, so it's there. You should see it here once you add it, and then you're good to connect that email account, right? So let's try and add an email. I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. I'll do allow. So it looks like we have added that email to SmartLead. And here is where you're going to set up some of the like general settings of the email. And then we're going to add it to warm up and we can add a signature here and whatnot. So how many messages do we want to send a day? I typically cap it at 40 messages per day per email. People go back and forth on that. You want to add your first name, then your title, maybe, do that in italics, then domain, right? Or company name. And then you could, unitalicize that and then add a link to your website here. And this is for the signature, right? So I'll go ahead and just click save. 40 messages a day, signature setup, and then warm up. I'm going to enable warm up. And again, so when you're doing any sort of cold outbound, right? A great feature of Smart Lead is that it's going to warm that email up. So I'm going to go ahead and enable warm up and click update. And why do you warm up an email? Essentially, if you create a new uh, let's say domain and then set up an email on that domain and immediately start blasting out 50 emails a day, it's they will likely end up in spam because the Gmail Outlook algorithm, they're picking up that it's a new email. The quantity is really high, so you're just going to damage your reputation and end up in spam. Because of this, you want to warm up a new email for 14 days. So bear with me here. Sorry. Again, let me just click that email that I just added. As you can see here, it's saying outbound status warm up enabled on May 7th. So this is going to be an indication for the 14 calendar days. You want to warm up the email for 14 calendar days. Um, so the next thing, once you have that email warmed up, the next feature that you're going to use on Smartlead is an email campaign, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create a campaign. This is where you're going to upload a CSV file. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, right? So if you're getting contacts from a tool like Apollo or Trigify or scraping from LinkedIn, just go ahead and download those contacts as a CSV. And then here's where it's going to ask you to map the fields. So we will go over this when we create an actual campaign, but you're going to use dynamic fields, right? So hi, first name. Noticed you lead sales at company, right? So this is where you're going to map those fields to make sure that you can use those dynamic fields um, in your email. So I want to use company name for emails to company email. We'll just do email employees. What do they have here? Okay, I know they have so website, city. We can do location. And if you wanted to do a custom field, right? So maybe we want to like mention their total funding, right? Let's just do custom field. And then you would add in total funding, right? When you're creating the actual email, I'll show you what that looks like. So we've got the email, we've got first name. Let me try and upload these. Okay. All right. Looks like I need to upgrade my plan because I'm at 27,000 leads. However, you get the point, right? So let me just create a new campaign without uploading that CSV. So we would just add subject. So, this is where you're going to add the dynamic fields. So first name, are you still looking for a sales enablement tool, right? So maybe you're going to say something like that if you are using by intent triggers and see that this person is searching for a sales enablement tool. You're going to add copy here. For now, I'm just going to do, test, test, test. Always do a variant. Maybe test multiple subject lines first and then keep the same body. Um, so you're really getting feedback in terms of what's piquing or people's interest or what's resonating with people, right? Obviously, you wouldn't do a how's it going. Maybe add another variant. And then I'm going to do a follow-up email. I'm going to wait for 2 days. I'm going to leave the subject empty because I want it to be a follow-up to the previous email. Hey, how's it going? Um, and then maybe on the last email that I send, and this is just to give you an idea of how, to set up a sequence in Smartlead, right? You can see really nice user interface, pretty smooth. On the last email, like you might send like the white flag email, right? Last email here, offer ends this Friday, you know, ends end of month for, we did location for the city, but you would want to test that, right? So like, um, I saw you raised total, what did we, let me see what we can add here. Oh, it didn't get the dynamic field because we didn't actually add the contacts from that CSV, or else you would see that custom field that you created when you're uploading these contacts, right? So anyway, it's not, we didn't add anything here, I don't think. Let me just delete this. Emails could be for the first campaign of the sequence. Let me try now. Okay, invalid campaign ID. Oh, let me try now. Cannot be empty. Ooh, what just happened there? All right, trying to rip through this. Sorry, guys. So, um, let's add another step. It's not going to let me create a campaign. All right, I'm going to go back to an existing campaign that I've used. Right, let's try this one. As you can see, it's giving me like stats. It gives you breaks down all the stats in terms of, you know, the different A/B testing you did. I'm no longer using this campaign, but as you can see, we set up the sequence here, and then the next step is setup, right? So here's what's good about Smartly and a great feature. You can actually choose multiple, let's say you have 10 emails. You can choose all 10 emails to actually send. So if you did, 1,000 emails a day spread across 10 emails, that would be 100 emails per day per email, right? Which is a cool feature. Here's where you're going to set up the scheduling. You're going to do max number of leads, reached out per campaign, and it'll distribute it evenly across all of the emails. Um, and here you can just kind of adjust certain settings that you want. Like if you want to track, so if you are not tracking, deliverability will be higher. Stop sending messages when your lead replies. Boost your deliverability, right? So um, you're going to send emails in plain text without HTML, which is I highly recommend. You can prioritize sending patterns. So like if you want them to prioritize new leads instead of follow-ups, you would move it all the way down here because this is 100% prioritizing follow-ups, and a bunch of cool stuff here. So pretty self-explanatory. But the next step would be just doing a final preview. So here you get exactly what your email is going to look like with the subject, the body, and then you can send a test email to yourself, which I highly recommend you do before actually, starting a campaign, right? Um, so I guess there's some other cool things like in terms of integrations, they have native integrations with ListKit, Clay, HubSpot. So when you get a response, you could automatically update or create a contact in HubSpot, for example, right? So you would just connect that app. It's pretty self-explanatory. I believe they just ask for an API key, or they do it natively by just actually, yeah, you can just sign into your HubSpot account and then choose how you want to record the contact in your CRM. Um, Same thing with the rest. I will just point out the Smart Lead University. Um, there's a bunch of cool courses. I highly recommend folks just to take advantage of that as well. Um, and let me just go back to email campaigns. Another cool thing about Smart Lead, I guess, most automation tools have this is the folders. So if you are dealing with a bunch of clients, you just are going to create different folders, with all of the campaigns that you're running for that client, right? They're tracking leads here as well for you, so it is somewhat of a CRM, where you can filter through here, right? In terms of replied and whatnot. So really quick breakdown of Smart Lead. I hope it was helpful. Just reach out to me, if you have any questions, need some further assistance with the tool in general. Thanks so much.